Hello and welcome to the oddschecker betting show. This is the day 2 of glorious Goodwood preview, the Wednesday racing. I'm your host, George Elek, and I'm joined today by two expert tipster guests, Andy Holding and Rory Delargy. We've just recorded the day 1 preview, so if you're listening or watching this before Tuesday's racing, then make sure you go back and watch or listen to that. We exchanged pleasantries on there, so I'm not going to bother doing so now. We spoke to Rory about the weather forecast, which suggested it might start being softish on Tuesday and then drying, I should say, throughout the week. So we're expecting drying conditions going into Wednesday as well. Andy, a man in some decent form at the back end of July too. So some good tips in that first day. Do make sure you go and listen or watch it. Or if you've already had days 1 racing, hopefully you're coming back to us because we tipped up some winners. But we'll get into the racing fairly shortly. We're going to be previewing the first 4 races of the day and then any other business for the last 3 for Wednesday's racing. Before we do get into the racing, I'm just going to come to you both because it's something we didn't mention necessarily in day 1. And Rory, I'll come to you first here. What kind of horses are you looking to back at Goodwood? What are the quirks of the course that you normally look to, I don't know, make the most of when it comes to your own punting?
Yeah, I think it's always a slightly tricky one in terms of pigeonholing horses who are suited by the track. You've got to have a horse who's well balanced, but then again, you don't tend to look for horses who are not well balanced at other tracks, do you? It's one of those. All the horses are theoretically well balanced, so they're not running in decent races. It has significant ups and downs. You need to be able to take a good position as a rule, although there are plenty of races at Goodwood where they go hard and horses can come from difficult positions. So jockeyship's hugely important in that regard. Jockeys need to decide whether they're going to go forward early and take a good position, or whether their plan of attack is to sit off the pace and look to make the run at exactly the right time. There was one meeting at Goodwood a few years ago where Ryan Moore was absolutely on fire, where he mostly came from out of the clouds to win races. And it's just a case of knowing, where they've gone astride too fast, and then having the patience to sit off that pace and come very late. Because if you ask for your challenge too early, you're going to peter out by the line, and if you come too late, then you risk looking a fool by finishing fast and coming 3rd or 4th. But in terms of the horses that are suited by the track, you've got significant downhill sections. So you've got to have a horse who's shown the ability to keep a straight line and be able to handle that kind of track. But generally speaking, as with most top meetings, good horses tend to come to the fore. So you got to treat them as individuals.
Andy, anything to add to that?
No, I think Rory's covered it mostly. I mean, we've only just had Royal Ascot and the Newmarket July meeting, so you've got strong form lines there. And me personally, I'm looking obviously at the races that were good on the times. They usually go a fair gallop at Goodwood. There's always a bit of a rush to try and get to a position where you get jockeys riding from draws to try and so that they never normally slowly run races at Goodwood. And if you've got a combination of a horse perhaps that's run well at Ascot and has got form here at Goodwood as well, then all the better. They're not all going to fall into that category, but if you spot something that has shone in under those circumstances and then the price is right, then that's half the battle. So yeah, just a few fundamentals, and then you add on top of that the draw and the ground and whether yards are in good form or not. We look towards the obvious, Mark Johnson routes, and obviously the Appleby team seem to be in fantastic form. So yeah, if you've got 4 or 5 key factors before you start off in match races.
Well, let's get into the racing itself then. And before we do so, just going to point the listener or viewer, yourself, in the direction of the oddschecker app for the best prices, which we'll be talking about today. The best place terms, crucial in these big festivals, the best bookie offers and free bets, and the best tipsters as well, including Andy, whose columns you can find on the oddschecker app every morning of racing at around 9 a.m. The first and best place to get Andy's tips before the prices start moving at about 9:02. We'll get into the racing now, and we're recording this just after 1 o'clock on Monday, so final decks are just through. The oddschecker grids and the app are kind of repopulating now, so bear with me in case there are any gaps there. I'm going to try and give you the prices as they do come out. And the first race of the day is the Unibet 15 To Go Handicap, and the favourite at this stage is Nagano at 4-1, Siskany is 5-1, Khaleesi 6-1, King's Prince 9-1, Glenagain 10-1, Pleasant Man, Fabulous, Pied Piper all 12-1, 14-1 Bar. Andy, can you get us off to a flyer on day 2?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I talked about some of those bullet points before dealing with the opening race, and there's 2 or 3 that things I mentioned here that crop up. It was a surprise that Charlie Appleby didn't actually win the King George handicap at Royal Ascot, given how dominant he's been in that department this season. Not only has he had the Derby winner, Nadari, the King George winner with the same horse. Hurricane Lane has carried all before him. Kamari won the big staying race. Not to mention Mandora as well. Mandora, who's won 2 for 2 and beat Mojo Star and Debbie. I mean, he looks a phenomenal beast. And he had 3 or 4 horses, or certainly Godolphin did anyway, in the King George. And Siskany was the closest they got. But Siskany was one of those ones that, from a wide draw, never got any cover. I think Will Buick, if he would have had his race again, would have tried to get in the pack and get him to relax and settle better than he did. But considering he pulled so hard, his finishing effort wasn't that bad, to be fair. And he only actually ended up getting beaten a length and 3/4, or a length and a quarter by the winner, Surefire. But he kept on all the way down the straight. I liked his attitude. He never shirked the issue. And I think with a better run through, and if he settles a little bit better this time, I could see him being a factor. The other point to make with him is he's a soft ground winner. He won at Sandown the time before on soft ground, and he beat Surefire first time up at Windsor as well. So I think his body of work is pretty useful. And we know that he handles a big field handicap. And of course, Charlie Appleby trains him. So he's the kind of horse I want to be backing in a race like that, because I do think he's got a bit of a class edge. I actually don't think this race is anywhere near as strong as the Ascot race, barring Khaleesi, who has parachuted in from beating, funny enough, for one of Charlie Appleby's last time out at Salisbury. And obviously Nagano represents the same form line. But beyond that, I thought this was fairly weak. So I don't mind backing the top weight in a race like this. So yeah, 5-1, did you say?
4-1. No, sorry, 5-1. Yeah, 5-1.
Is that 4 places, or is that just
4
3?
places as it stands? Yeah.
Yeah,
Hills, Bet Victor.
Well, he managed to finish in the first 4 at Ascot, and that was a much better race, and he's got his condition. So yeah, and he's not that much shorter in a weaker race. So yeah, I'll be all over Siskany each way there.
All over Siskany in the first there for Andy. 5-1, 4 places. Rory?
I would prefer Siskany over Nagano, who's been favourite for this race. Nagano was 6th at Royal Ascot, and the pair of them met trouble. Sir Lamorak, when he came through, hung badly to his right, and there was a fair bit of scrimmaging in the last furlong. And I think a lot of people came to the conclusion that Nagano was unlucky there. I think Nagano would have been 4th with a clear run rather than 6th. And I think on that basis, if he did finish, 3rd or 4th at Royal Ascot, he wouldn't be a really short price for this. But I think everyone picked up that he was a little bit unlucky and that he was staying on quite nicely, and then he gets badly bumped. But so did Siskany. Siskany was also intimidated by that, and I would say, and he's £2 worse off for that. But I think he's got at least as much chance of confirming the form. So it wouldn't surprise me if Siskany was favourite for this. But I have to say, Andy's given him a mention already, I really like Khaleesi here. I think there's a huge amount more to come from Khaleesi. This is his handicap debut. It's not an obviously kind handicap mark. Looking at, taking a snapshot of it from when he won his maiden. But the horse he beat that day, Marching Army, he was a 33-1 shot. He went on to win a novice on his next start by 3.5 lengths, and has been given an opening mark of 87. Khaleesi is also rated 87 despite beating that horse very comfortably by 2.25 lengths at Salisbury. And the key to Khaleesi is that on pedigree he wants 1.5 miles to 1.6 miles. He's by Harzand out of a German-bred mare. He's a half-brother to 1.75 miles winner in Buriram. And everything about his pedigree suggests that he's not going to show his best form until racing over 1.5 miles. He actually was dropped back to 1 mile for a second start at Nottingham and was unlucky not to win that day. I think you're on that race again, and a bit more use is made of him. He would have won, and he's then improved to win over 1.25 miles at Salisbury. His best efforts have come on softish ground, unsurprisingly given his pedigree. So conditions should be perfect for him here, and I think he's going to improve a good £10 or more for stepping up to 1.5 miles for the first time. As I said, his form is working out. Strictly speaking, others have achieved more, but by definition, others have had more of a chance to achieve more by running in good handicaps. This is his first chance, but everything about him suggests that he's been laid out for handicaps, and 87, I think, is a very workable mark to start off with. Tom Marquand again on board rides Goodwood extremely well, and William Haggis is one of those yards that you can tend to rely on them to keep going forward and to be very well placed. So although the pair who ran well at Royal Ascot have got better form in terms of the ratings and the book, I just think Khaleesi's got an awful lot of scope for improvement compared to most of these.
Khaleesi 6-1 best price at the moment. Bet Victor, Betfred, Betway, the firms out with their prices currently 6-1. But as I say, these are early prices, so they could change a fair bit by the time you are listening or watching this. Hopefully in our favour, but you never know, might be a few points shorter as well. But Khaleesi there for Rory 6-1, Siskiny for Andy 5-1. A couple of strong selections to get us started on day 2. On then to the Whispering Angel Oak Tree Stakes, the second race on Wednesday, I should say. We've got Vadream is the 7-1 joint favourite with Sacred, Valeria Messalina 8-1, Bounce the Blues and Lavender's Blue both 9-1, Hyper Princess and Onassis both 10-1, 12-1. Bar, Rory, will stick with you for this second race on day 2.
Vadream is the selection from me in this. She's been progressive this season without getting her head in front. She ran an absolute cracker at 50-1 when third in the Fred Darling, and that's a race that's worked out really well. The first, second, and third have all boosted the form since. She didn't stay when tried in the Guineas, and she's run 2 very, very good races since. Third in the Jersey was probably her best performance on paper, and then dropping back to 6 furlongs last time out. She was a good second in a competitive summer stakes at York. Now, I think what she wants is a sharp 7 furlongs. I thought the 7 of the Jersey just found her out in the end. She looked to be coming with a winning run for a long way there, given a typical Jimmy Spencer ride, creeping into it, apparently travelling best of all. And then I think she just didn't quite get home over the stiff 7. Whereas dropping back to 6 last time out was probably on the sharp side for her. She was doing her best work late on there. I think the 7 at Goodwood on easy ground will suit her down to the ground, and I think that gives her a decent chance of winning here. Again, there are 1 or 2 with similar form claims. I really like Highfield Princess, but Stall 17 means she's going to have to work really hard to get close to the front. She was really impressive at Royal Ascot. She followed that up in a listed race at Chelmsford last time out, but I think the running she'll have to do from Stall 17 probably counts against her here. And Lavender's Blue is a mare I've liked for a long, long time, but whether she wants 7 furlongs is very much open to debate. She stays a mile and a furlong well. The issue with her is that she's a weak finisher. She tends to travel really strongly in her races and then not really find off the bridle. And I can see why they're dropping her back to 7 furlongs. But for me, I think whatever trip you run her at, you're going to get the same thing. She's going to travel strongly and she's not really going to get home. I don't think it's a stamina issue. I think it's just there are just horses who are weak finishers, and she's one of them, which is a shame because she travels like a Group 1 filly a lot. But and you can see from the prices she's traded, in the past that she's often looked dangerous. I didn't think she got a great ride when she was fifth at Royal Ascot either, and I think she's got the ability to pop up in a decent race. But I wouldn't want to be backing her at reasonably short odds here, because I don't think 7 furlongs on easy ground will actually suit her particularly well. So for all I've been with her several times in the past, I'd have to pass her over here. And I think Vadrim looks really solid. You can give a chance to Valeria Messalina, who's been disappointing on the whole since finishing a really good second in this last year. She did bounce back to form at Fairyhouse last time out in the Brownstown Stakes, but she might be at her very best on quick ground. And whether it's dried out enough for her in the day is open to debate. She's nicely drawn in stall 3. She was a tongue tie for the first time, interestingly, despite having run a cracking race last time out. But again, I'd be a little bit wary of backing her unless I knew the ground had come in her favour.
Vadrim, the selection there for Rory, with a couple of others mentioned. Vadrim is 7-1 at the moment, and a horse that you had on side back in May, Andy, didn't you? You put Vadrim up for the Guineas, where she was fairly well beaten in terms of placing, came 6th, but only 3.5 lengths behind Mother Earth. You're looking to side with Vadrim again here?
I certainly think it's a decent shout by Rory. I think it's almost your starting point, really, Vadrim. She's contested some of the best fillies races so far this season at Group 1 level. Acquitted herself, as Rory said, with great distinction. I was in agreement with Rory what he said when he commented on she didn't quite get home behind Creative Force. The ground obviously was just probably one of the contributing factors, along with the stamina issues over that stiff 7. You could argue that she kind of has hung the latch a little bit. A finishing effort at York, didn't exactly scream at you that she's necessarily made of stern stuff. I don't think she's got a backbone as tough as others, but there's no doubt that her ability should see her there or thereabouts. I think Jamie Spencer will quite enjoy this project. Whether his supporters all have the same view, trying to watch Jamie Spencer weaving his way through a field of 17 at Goodwood, that's going to be a bit sort of like beyond the back of the sofa job. But I do think, I think Vadrim should be favourite on balance. But going back to that race at York, the big eye catcher for me was Onassis, who was definitely closing in on Vadrim over an adequate 6 furlongs. I mean, she can win over 6 furlongs, Onassis. She's done so in the past, but I think 7 furlongs is her ideal trip. They tried her over a mile first time at Ascot. I think she needed the run after that big layup. A stiff mile just catches her out for me at the very highest level. But she was very, very good, very silky smooth when she won here at Goodwood towards the back end of last season, when she had cut in the ground. I think 7 furlongs cut in the ground is absolutely up Onassis' street. She's had a couple of runs now. I genuinely believe as though this is the race that they've targeted. Filly's only race back at Goodwood. The rain's come. I mean, that's coincidental, really, whether the rain has come or not. They can't predict whether the rain will come or not. But the fact that it has is definitely music to Charlie Fellows and connections his ears. I don't really mind about the draw with her either, because she's a hold-up horse. It's not like Highfield Princess, as Rory says, who's a front runner who's drawn stall 17. When you're going to use a Petra to try and get to the front, she's going to be dropped out anyway. It'll be an interesting little battle between those two, Vadrim and Onassis. Who's got the requisite stamina and who's got the will to win, coming off a good pace. And at the prices, I'd probably certainly be with Onassis.
Charlie Fellows, an absolute clover. Hearing that you two both talking up his chances here on Wednesday at Goodwood. Onassis is 10-1.
Yeah, of course, they're both Charlie. Yeah,
they're both Charlies.
They're both Charlies. Yeah, of course. Yeah,
I've known Charlie for a long time, and I know that he did. Whether he normally listens to this podcast or just listened to it because you put up his Vadrim in the Oaks, I know that he saw that and was pretty chuffed. So hopefully he hears this as well and knows that both he's going into this one double-handed, going into with oddschecker selections into the second race, the Whispering Angel Oak Tree Stakes, the second race on the day on Wednesday. Vadrim 7-1, Onassis 10-1, both for Charlie. Fingers crossed for him. Maybe you can even get a 1-2 on the day, and a 1-2 for Andy and Rory as well. Onto the Molecomb, the third race on Wednesday. the Molecomb, where we've got, I think, joint favourites. Yeah, Chipotle and Fearby, both 3-1 the pair. Kaboo 7-1, Armour 9-1, Booney 10-1, Mojo Maker 12-1, 14-1 Bar. Andy, take us away for the Molecomb.
I think this race is very much a ground dependent race, particularly with 2-year-olds where we've got limited sample sizes. I probably won't play it until literally the morning, and I know what the ground's going to be. Could easily dry out. We don't know with the shows. This country, it could go one way or the other. We get more rain, then it could stay soft, and it rules out probably Chipotle, who's had a poor run came in the National Stakes. It was a horror run through the other day. It was a game of the horse I napped at Newbury in the Super Sprints. I thought he was a bit of a good thing, and then he got a rough run through. So they're out for compensation with him. But he's very much a fast ground horse. He moves across the fast ground really well. Soft ground's absolutely no good to him whatsoever. Not necessarily sure he'll be a dead runner, if a certain runner, if it went or it stayed genuinely soft. Armour's a horse I've got a big amount of time for him. He came out second best of those that raced on the far side behind Chipotle in the Windsor Castle. I think he's a good horse, but again, he's very much a ground dependent horse. He's by no name never, so that definitely backs up that theory. The one horse who will love the conditions is Fearby. Really impressed with him the way he hit the line at Sandown the other day. He travelled really well, quickened on demand, clocked a very good time, backed up his win at Weatherby the time before when he looked good. Genuine listed stroke Group 3 performer in the making. Fast 5 furlongs, no problem for him. He's got a good cruising speed, and more importantly, he's got a good attitude. I do like the way he's got a great willness to please. So I think at this very moment in time, he'd be the one. If I had to if it was on soft, if it was on day one, it was soft. He'd definitely be the one. A lot can happen in 24 hours. So, like I say, I'm umming and ahhing about whether I'll tip in this race on the morning. And Swayze is the other one to be quite half interesting. I thought he showed a good turn of foot when he won at Yarmouth. And Martin Mead seems to have really shone in the last 3 or 4 weeks, particularly with his 2-year-olds. He seems to have a decent crop of 2-year-olds all of a sudden coming to the fore. So, yeah, those are the two I'm looking at, Fearby, Swayze. But, yeah, for the purposes of this podcast, Fearby.
Fearby 3-1, best price at the moment with Bet Victor. That's standout, 11-4. Basically across the other bookmakers up on oddschecker, and Swayze 20-1 best price. That's with Bet Victor and Unibet. Rory.
Yeah, I largely agree with what Andy has said. It's Chipotle definitely wants quick ground. Whether it's quick or not, he's only finished 9th in the Super Sprint, but he still looked unlucky. And he's traded 1.55 and running to give you an idea of how people thought that was going to pan out, but he got murdered twice in the race. But as we saw with him at Ascot, he has shown his best form on a quick surface, and whether it's quick enough for him is another matter. Fearby's the obvious one at this stage. My gut feeling was that Fearby would be a much shorter price than this, and it's the kind of horse that if he was 6-4 or shorter, I'd want to be against him on the basis that I thought they went very, very fast at Sandown and really set it up for him. But he's come home 5 lengths clear in a listed race. And you can't really knock that. As Andy says, the time is very good. My gut feeling with that is he was shown off to maximum effect the way the race was run. In saying that, he still has the best form to win this race anyway. And if it comes up on the soft side, there aren't too many you'd really fancy to run the race. So as I said, if this ends up being good to soft ground on the day, he's not going to be 3-1. He's going to be he's not even going to be 2-1. He's going to be 13-8, 7-4 for this. So if you're punting in it at the moment, I think Fearby's the one who's got the most scope to shorten up. I think he ends up going off a reasonably hot favourite. On the day, if he does start very short, I'd bear in mind that everything that happened at Sandown happened to accentuate his margin of victory and make him look good. So I wouldn't want to be taking too short about him, but he's a surprisingly big price now, given the level of form in the race. I wouldn't rule out a bigger price as Nymphadora, who was a bit disappointing she was very disappointing in the Queen Mary on the fastest ground she's raced on, but she was impressive in the in the Marygate Stakes at York prior to that. And that form hasn't worked out badly. It doesn't always work out at the Marygate. It comes quite early in the season for a listed fillies race. And there's kind of been a mixed record there, but there have been plenty of decent horses who finished behind her, who've come out and won since. I thought she liked the good ground that day, but again, I'd ignore the Queen Mary. I don't think that race showed her to very good effect. And she ran an absolutely huge race on her debut. Obviously, her best effort is that win in the listed Marygate. But if you go back to her debut run, where she looked very green and didn't look fit, she made most of the running and was only faded out of it in the last 75 yards. She finished sixth in the end, but she looked she arguably looked the best horse in the race. She's traded 5-4 in running, and that race has thrown up an absolute host of winners. Desert Dreamer won it in the end, and she's gone on to much better things since. A Ballerina Lady won next time out. He was second. Devious Angel, Beautiful Sunshine, Canonized, all next time out winners as well. So that's a really good race, and I'm inclined to forgive Nymphadora one moderate run. Andrew Balding's 2-year-olds tend to improve more than most for a debut run, which Nymphadora did to win at York. And we seem to be, she's 14-1 for this, which seems a very big price for a filly who's getting the allowances and has won a listed race. In good, a well contested listed race in good style, and I thought she was probably overpriced. So that's who I'd be inclined. As I said, Fairby's the one who is too big at the moment in terms of what price he's going to start. But Nymphadora's price will hold up, I think, and she could end up being the value in the race.
And Nymphadora 14-1, pretty much across the board. Hills, Bet Victor, Betfred, Betway, all 14-1 about Nymphadora. There in the third race of the day. The fourth race we're going to cover is the Sussex Stakes. The fourth race on Wednesday at Glorious Goodwood. We've got Poetic Flare is the 4-5 favourite ahead of Snow Lantern at 13-2. Alcohol Free 9-1. Lope Fernandez 10-1. Order of Australia 12-1. Tilsit is 14s 33-1. Bar Andy, come to you here. Poetic Flare, I mean, it's impossible not to be mightily impressed with the season Poetic Flare has had, but 4-5 in what looks to be a fairly deep field, especially, well, I mean, not deep in terms of the whole race, but in terms of the nearest challenges. What do you make of that price for the favourite?
Yeah, I mean, halfway through the season, he's the fastest horse that we've got on our time figures. I mean, there's been some very strongly run handicaps, group races all the way through the season. So he flies the flag, Poetic Flare, with his St James's Palace win. When he was absolutely brilliant, I must admit, I tipped my cap to him that day because I thought, he might struggle given the sort of industrious campaign that Jim Bolger had bestowed him in the early part of the season. I'm not sure the form is that great with regards what the other horses have done, and the 3-year-olds, by and large, in that category, I don't think are that great this season. I think there's been other horses that have looked even better. That horse of Baid, of William Haggis's, for instance, battered Maximal, who was fourth in the St James's Palace Stakes and got beat 5 lengths. So strictly on it, if you're doing a like for like, which is always a very spurious route to do. But if you are comparing Poetic Flare to Baid, it's probably not a huge gulf between them, but as it stands at the moment, time figure wise, Jim Bolger's 3-odd is the best in that category. My only reservation with him is if it stayed on the soft side. Look, he's got form on soft ground and high class form at that, but it's interesting his 2 defeats this season have both come on soft ground, whereas I think he's an absolute worldie on good to firm, because I think he can really quicken and operate on that surface. So for that reason, I don't think he's a 4-5 shot under those conditions. Yeah, he's a 4-5 shot if it was good to firm, but I don't think he's a 4-5 shot on soft ground. And if you throw into the equation Alcohol Free, who won a very good Coronation on soft ground, Snow Lantern, who obviously chased Alcohol Free home and has won since, and then you chuck in the older horses such as Order of Australia, who's now back number, Tilsit, who's a course and distance winner, and Century Dream, who's won a course and distance winner. I think this race is a little bit deeper than the market would have you believe.
Yeah.
Of those I've mentioned, I do think Tilsit is overpriced, just because he has won at the track as well. I'm drawn to that, as I talked about beforehand. I do like backing horses who've got Goodwood form in the book. And the day when he beat My Oberon, that was a good little salty little race, because there was a good horse of Roger Varian's in that race, which was made to look rather second rate. But I did like the way he won the other day at Ascot. He beat a good field in a very fast time. Century Dream didn't hang around, and he was a good second to Skeletti the time before on soft ground at Longsham over a mile 1. So I don't mind the ground for him. So yeah, I do think 14 to 1's a big price for Tilsit. So he'd be the one I'd be looking at this stage.
Yeah, 14 to 1 with Paddy Power, Betfair, BetVictor, Mansion Bet, 10 Bet, and Sport Nation. So plenty of 14s around if you're looking to take on the favourite, and 10 run at the moment as well. So we should be all clear in terms of getting the 3 places, so long as there aren't the 3 that come out, which seems unlikely. Rory?
Yeah, you've got to look for an each way bet in the race with 10 runners as it stands. Poetic Flare is is clear on form and really ought to win the race. You still have that slight concern that, he's already had 5 races this season, and you wonder, will there come a time when he goes to the well once too often? I don't want to oppose him, but it's a lovely shape of a race for an each way bet. And if you fancy Tilsit at 14 to 1 on the basis of his win in the Summer Mile last time out, then with the prospect of softer ground, which wouldn't necessarily suit Tilsit, I think you've got to back Century Dream at 40 to 1 in this. That's the wrong price.
Big price, that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
totally agree with that.
He's been placed in Group 1s before. He's essentially a Group 2, Group 3 horse, and he's got loads of form on varying ground. He handles heavy ground. He handles it good to firm. But yeah, he's just the wrong price in terms of his chances of hitting the frame here. He should be a 20 to 1 shot, and that puts him, where he deserves to be in this race. I'd very much fancy his chances of running into the frame. He should get the run of the race from close to the front as well. And I think at 40 to 1, I can't see that lasting, but it's there with a couple of firms at the moment, and that's definitely where I'd want to be. Yeah,
40 to 1 with Paddy Power and Betfair Sportsbook. You mentioned he should be about 20 to 1, and that is the price that a few have clipped him into as well. A bit of blue and oddschecker. So you're not the only 2 people who think that Century Dream's price at 40s is just too big. So the 2 to side with that from the guys: Tilsit at 14, Century Dream at 40s against the 4 to 5 odds-on favourites. There are 3 more races on the day on Wednesday, and 2 of them, the final 2, are not priced up. They're the 2 fillies, the fillies handicap, the 445, and then the Whirlpool handicap in the last as well. But there is a conditions race, a 5-furlong conditions race, the 410, where we do have some prices. So I'll read those out quickly. Canonized is 4 to 1, Flotus 9 to 2, Anadora 6 to 1, Illustrating 6 to 1, Vertiginous 6 to 1, Frankella 8 to 1, Lefay 9 to 1, 14 to 1, Bar, and hand it over to you both for any other business. So anything in that conditions race, or a couple of horses just to circle, waiting for prices to come out later on, probably this evening or tomorrow. Andy?
I quite like Percy's Pride in the 445. I'll skip that 2-row race just for the time being, if that's okay. He ran in that good race at Haydock 3 runs ago behind Tashcan and Chalkstream. And I've been looking to get with Tashcan pretty much all season long because of that time figure, and Chalkstream won finally when he settled at York on Saturday. He won at Chelmsford, then he won at Ascot the other day in pretty determined fashion. But his time figures come out really well. I think he's a better horse than 84 currently affords him. I didn't think. Sorry, Sheer, beg your pardon. I keep calling him he. Sheer, it's a fillies handicap. And I don't think this is the strongest fillies handicap that's ever been run at the track. So yeah, I'd be more than interested in that, and particularly if it was soft ground. Percy's Pride doesn't mind getting its toe in. So,
do you have a price guide? What you'd be looking to?
I would be looking, trying to see what will be favourite. To be honest, I think probably Timeless Soul.
Kelvis, I think might be.
Yeah. Altois probably be close to the favourite. Yeah, I'd say about 5 to 1 in and around that mark.
4 or 5 to 1 if it comes about for Percy's Pride for Andy.
Yeah.
Andy, anything else in the last or the one before the 2?
No, that's
race?
the only one in the last three. I'm interested in.
Rory?
In that same race, if she isn't favourite, Akelois or Akelois would have a decent chance. She hasn't tackled the trip yet, but she's bred to get it. And she battled really well to win at Ascot last time out. up £6 for that, which I think is fair enough. But I think the key to her might well be stepping up to 1.25 miles for the first time. I'd fancy her there. And I did mention right at the top of the preview, whether it was on or off air, in the final race, I like Epic Endeavour. Like him dropping by to 7 furlongs. I napped him in the International, even though I was concerned about the track at Ascot for him. But he did too much over a mile at Newmarket last time out. He's been racing over a mile all 3 runs this season, run really well at Windsor on the second of them. But everything he's done since winning at Newbury last year over 7 furlongs has suggested to me that he wants to step back to 7. He's quite a free goer. And although he stays a mile, I think 7 will end up being his trip. Gets cheek pieces on for the first time. He's drawn out in stall 16, which is not ideal, but he's got a lot of early pace, so I think he'll be able to take a good position. Looking at the makeup of the race, there's not a huge amount of speed inside him, so I think he'll get a good early position, and the drop back to 7 will suit him, and he won't mind the ground still riding on the soft side, so I think he's pretty solid there.
So that is Epic Endeavour in the last for Rory and Achilles in the penultimate race as well. Thank you both to Andy and Rory for their selections and their thoughts on this second day of Goodwood. We've already recorded day 1. We'll be recording day 3 at some point in the very near future as well. So do keep your eyes out for that, either on any podcast platform for the Oddschecker Betting Show or on the Oddschecker YouTube channel, which you should subscribe to for all the preview content and plenty other features as well. So do check that out. Do download the Oddschecker app as well for the best prices, bookie offers, free bets, place terms, and the best tipsters in the game, including Andy himself, whose column is up at 9 a.m. every morning of racing. And fingers crossed, the guys have given you a couple of winners on day 1 and day 2. So please do enjoy the racing and please gamble responsibly.